basically we will discuss our experience and we will give you a lot of advices, but everything that we discussed today, it is based on what we saw and our experience with the client. As we mentioned in other videos, we have a lot of experience with several countries. I mean, our clients are from, let's say, Europe, US, Canada, Australia. But for the purpose of this video, today we will talk about specifically US. And then if we have also sometimes we can mention something about Canada that maybe can be the topic of the next episode. So before starting the video, we will also remind you what we do as ESENtaxa. We do tax consulting, tax strategies, and if you are relocating to Italy, we can support you 100%. Meaning, if you need the visa, we have partners who can help you. If you need to do a company, an SRL, if you need to use the tax regimes that also we will discuss today, everything in terms of accounting and also visa, we can support you. So I will start, Andrea, because as I said, this is a very informal conversation. But based on your experience, what are the problems of the clients from US who wants to move to Italy? Then I will tell my opinion.
Yeah, indeed, Fausto. This is the classical situation that all the US citizens have when they move to a different country, not just in Italy. The first question is, do I need to pay taxes based on my Italian citizenship? Because most of our clients got 2 citizenships because they are allowed to live in Italy thanks to the fact that they have inherited this citizenship through iuris sanguinis procedure. And they are afraid that they have to pay taxes on their citizenship while they're also American citizen and they have to pay taxes in their own country. Now, this is a misconception. United States is the only country in the world that tax people on their citizenship worldwide. So doesn't matter where you live, you will have to report taxes to the US government. While if you're an Italian citizen, you don't have to pay taxes if you live outside Italy. You will pay taxes only if you live in Italy as a tax resident. So Italy, it's basically consider you worldwide taxed only if you are reside in Italy.
And this, for instance, Andrea, is not the same situation with Australia, because if you are American citizen, because we also are doing a tax return for a US client. So basically, even if they live in Italy, they also to do a tax return in US.
Exactly. So there is this obligation reporting.
What is the limit? It's $120,000. The limit for which then they will pay also taxes in the US. Is that?
Yes, it's basically the famous earned income exclusion that works only on generated professional income abroad, which means only employee type of income or freelancer or sole proprietorship type of income. So whenever you work, basically, and applies only on this type of stream of income. So if you produce in Italy income as a professional, freelancer, or an employee, you can ask to your IRS in US, basically, to get excluded up to $120,000, more or less, but it's an indexed number. So every year it changes based on the inflation rate. And then you don't pay taxes in US up to the limit, but only in Italy. That doesn't mean that excludes you you have to still report your income to US. So it's just this benefit for those who are living abroad, outside the United States. So United States citizens, they have this double filing every single year. First in Italy, because Italy has the right to tax you first on the produced income on the territory, and also on the worldwide income first. Then you declare everything in Italy, and then you apply the earned income exclusion on your stream of income generated in Italy. And if you pass the earned income exclusion, you will apply the tax credit, because at a certain point you will have, if you have a higher income, you will pay taxes in Italy first, and then in US, but tax crediting what you have already paid in Italy as taxes.
We can say that depends, of course, the sources of income. Now we don't want to be stuck at this point, but yeah, this
Depends,
is
yeah.
in general problem that only people from US has in the world, as far as you know.
There is also another country which is called Eritrea, but
Okay.
Eritrea cannot enforce this kind of control all around the world as
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, one option is just to remind the US people, the people from the US was looking videos that you can, if you quit your passport, let's say, you renounce to your citizenship, then you don't have to do any tax return anymore.
Exactly.
You can be exempted, you know?
Exactly. There are a couple of countries also in Europe. I don't remember if it was Poland, Sweden, or Norway, one of those three countries. But there is an exception. Those countries, even if you live abroad, they require you to file taxes to their citizen for the following 3 years after the relocation, 3 or 4 years. There are those exceptions.
Okay.
Now, those countries, how do I enforce this? Because they have put in place agreement about the double taxations for the first 3 or 2 years in which their citizens are outside, they switch tax residency. So for the following 2-3 years, they still have to pay taxes to their own country, tax crediting what they have already paid in the country.
Okay.
But at a certain point of time, you don't have to pay taxes anymore on those countries. That's just the first years.
Yes. I have to do also a quick reminder to everybody here as a free tip. When you're moving into a country, let's say you're moving in June in Italy, and I remind this concept of when you have to pay the taxes in Italy, normally when you live for more than 6 months in Italy. But let's say that you had the other sources of income. You move in, I don't know, June 2025 in Italy for more than 6 months. But from January to May, you had other sources of income. You also have to declare those sources of income in Italy because Italy wants you to declare your revenues based on the worldwide. So this is so we already talked about two important things, two important tips from two important advice, meaning the passport. So why people are normally wants to move to Italy. They already know this thing, even if this is changing a bit regarding the passport, the thing of the visa, Andrea, correct? I mean, now
passport rules have been changed for those who wish to apply for the Iuris Sanguinis residence.
Okay.
They restricted a bit based on their parents or genealogy. It's not anymore up to their ancestors, just up to your grandparents. That's the first big change. But they put this law in a very complicated way. They're still under court of justice, so they have to take a decision if this law will be forever or can be still subject to change. And then the recent change in terms of visa, it's the famous digital nomad visa that basically allow people that are not willing to take any citizenship in Italy to stay in Italy with a visa. And the digital nomad visa is just a visa that checks if you were a genuine digital nomad, means somebody that work remotely normally. And if you have this status, then you can stay legally on the Italian territory for 2 years with the possible of extensions, and then automatically means that you have to then deal with Italian taxes and apply the correct Italian tax regimes, most likely forfeit regime and impatriate regime, because it's the perfect match for digital nomads. That allows you to also be regularly in Italy, paying taxes, etc., etc.
Yes, exactly.
It is also works for a US citizen. Huh? Anybody can apply for this digital nomad.
Yes. Now let's talk about, in general, based on our experience, why people want to move to Italy. So I think that we normally see the people, the young. We have also we don't make the names of our clients here, but for example, one client moves to Italy because he's working. So he's young. He wants to work. So for people who wants to work in Italy from US, they have normally. We advise two best tax regimes, impatriati and forfettario.
Yes.
Maybe now I talk about the forfeit regime.
Basically 90% of our US clients are looking for this status, freelancer, as impatriate regime or as a forfeit regime. Why? Because it's the easiest way to manage their business. You don't need to create, and this is an important point here. When you are a freelancer, you don't create an entity. You're not an LLC. This is another misconception of a lot of US
This is important. This is very important.
Forget about your LLC. When you are a freelancer in Italy or sole proprietor, you are one person running directly your business. Means that the income, the profit, goes straight to your pocket as an individual. There is nothing in the middle. There is no entity between you and the clients, let's say. And another important point, a lot of clients from US, they are so bound to their existing LLC, their existing business under the LLC, they want to try to keep this entity, US entity, while Italian tax resident. This is wrong, because based on the Italian law, you cannot be the only owner, only administrator of an entity that runs a business online abroad.
Online, exactly.
Exactly, online. This important. Yeah, exactly. Because it's a physical business, it's fine. Yes, but if it's an online, you're gonna end up of having the tax inversion issue. So Italy will qualify your foreign company as an Italian one. And maybe this happens after a few years later, they will catch you and they will ask you to pay back all the 3 years lost because they thought that your foreign company is an Italian one. You didn't register it as an Italian one. You have to pay the corporate tax that you didn't pay for 3 last years, plus fine, interest, VAT, declaration, a huge amount of money that you have to pay in fine and interest. So it's very dangerous to keep
just a
foreign
quick
company
thing here. In Italy, because we are talking about forfait regime and impatriate regime. So the forfait regime, I summarize a bit. Basically, you are a freelance. You don't need a company. You can use this regime only if you earn less than 85,000 euro per year. And you will pay, basically, now we don't do here the calculations, but we did it in a lot of videos, so you can search in our channel description of a forfait regime. I already did a video with the Excel table, the spreadsheet in Excel, not table, where I put the figures because I just basically showed a tax simulation that I did for a couple, for a client, a wife and the husband. But basically, you will pay more or less, let's say, 25% of taxes, but not only taxes, also social contribution.
Social security included. And the impatriate regime, you have the threshold up to 600,000 euro. So it's a lot. It's very high, the threshold.
This is another regime, but here we have to mention that the regimes last 5 years now with the new 5 years.